to the channel. Today is yet another fish room update. I know it's been a little over a month since I last posted, but things have been crazy around here, which is kind of why I'm doing another update, because pretty much everything is different. Whether it be hose in what aquarium, aquariums move, new aquariums, it's crazy. I'm going to go through the tanks that were changed one by one and give y'all a look-see. So the first thing that happened in the fish room is Knight did get a new tank. I bought a 125 gallon tank from PetSmart. I bought it on a Saturday and it sat in the house until the following Wednesday because I was waiting for some of my stuff to come in the mail. So in the process of that, it is in the living room because I wanted it to be kind of the focal point. It's the biggest aquarium. People should see it, especially with not being in it, because everybody that comes here always wants to see him. So it just made more sense that he's visible. So in order to do that, I had to move the Ranchu tank, which is right there. It used to be in the living room and now it's in here. As far as decorations and everything like that, it's still exactly the same. I just moved it. So they're back in here. Knight, Comet, and Lucy is in the living room, and I will show you them in a minute. Also, something else that changed was the 40-gallon breeders that were over here are gone. I sold both of those last weekend. The deal I had with my parents was that if I got rid of the pond, they would let me have the 125. And so I got rid of the pond, and then I looked at the 40s and I was like, you know, I really don't like them and I don't really have a need for them right now. So I ended up just selling them off. The only thing that was in the 40s was the top was some fry that I had raised. I had rescued them at a young age and then grew them out. There was 3 of them in there. 2 of them got rehomed, and then one of them, the Black Moor, is actually back here in this tank now, which I'll show you as well. My mother got really attached to him, and so I kept him for that reason, and he's really sweet, and he gets along with the fish really well, so I ended up keeping him. His name is Damon, by the way. I did finally name him. And the bottom 40 was with Sakara and Dodge. So I ended up moving Sakara and Dodge into my bedroom, into the new 60, because the 40 was just not what I wanted for them. And it was like, they were in the bottom rack and I could never see them, and I just didn't like it. So I moved them over. So the 40s are gone. And so I got the 125. That Wednesday, I finally got everything I needed to set the aquarium up, and I filled it up, I decorated it, put filters on, everything. Finally got to move Knight and Comet. So everything was good, all was wonderful in the world. The following day I got home from class and I noticed there was some water missing in the tank. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen this whole story. It was a big thing. It was very annoying, but the tank sprung a leak, and it leaked from both sides in the bottom corners. So I was in a complete frenzy to set up my quarantine tub and pull Knight and Comet, and then I was trying to drain the water in the tank, but it's 125 gallons and I've just got the one water changer, so it can only go so fast. So in the process of it going wide open, I was throwing towels down. I was so mad. My parents were ticked off, but they knew I couldn't do anything about it. It was just a faulty tank. So then I had to call PetSmart and I'm like, hey, got this 125 gallon tank from you guys and it's leaking everywhere. It ruined my background, ruined one of my filters, water got into my surge protector, water got in my air pump. It was a hot mess and I was really mad about it. So they're like, well, yeah, if you just, you know, we're sorry to hear about that, but if you bring the tank back, we'll refund you the money. We don't have another one. So all we can do is refund you what it cost you. And I was like, fantastic. So just to give y'all an idea, this tank was 6 foot long and a little over 2 foot wide. So this tank was big and there was no way that I could get that thing in my Camry. So I had to get my dad and his truck because this wasn't a one-person job. It took him and I both to get it here. We almost didn't get it here. It was a big pain in the butt, and now we had to load it back up, take it like 30 minutes away, and then unload it at PetSmart. And I'm like, I was so mad. I was so mad. So at this point, I was telling them all the stuff that was wrong that it had done, and they're like, well, you'll have to call corporate. We can't issue anything with what it ruined. So I'm like, wonderful. So we ended up going an hour away to the closest other PetSmart, and so they have the same tank. I go to look at it. I'm like, yay, wonderful. I take a closer look and the bottom's cracked all the way through on the aquarium itself. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It was just a big long headache. And so I was like, okay, so this, I mean, there isn't any other PetSmarts. It's those two and that's it. And I had went to some local stores, but they didn't have anything near what I was looking for. So I was like, that's it. I don't have a choice. Well, it just so happened that one of the associates came over to talk to me because she's seen that I was looking at the tank, and she's like, that would look so good in somebody's living room. And I'm like, yeah, it would, because I already had one, but it leaked. And I had to take it back. And she's like, oh goodness, really? And so she's asking me where I got it, and little did I know that she was the manager. So she was talking to me about it, and she's like, I'm so sorry. She's like, but I have 120 gallon here. I only have one left. I'll show it to you if you want. And I was like, yeah. So I looked at it, checked silicone. I was like looking at this thing with a fine-tooth comb. And my dad looked at it, and I was like, yeah, it looks good, but it's $200 higher than what I paid for the one that was on sale, and I didn't have the extra $200. So she was really, really nice, and she's like, you know what, I'll price match it for you since you had so much trouble out of the other one. And I was like, yay, great. So got that tank, brought it home, filled it up, watched it like a hawk for 2 days, and then finally put Night and Comet back in it, and it was totally fine. Had to call customer service about the things it ruined, and they're like, oh no, we don't do that. You have to take it up with the store. And I'm like, I did, but they told me I had to call corporate. And they're like, no, that's the store's problem. And I'm like, oh my God. So I talked to the store again, talked to the manager of the store, and I'm like, listen, all I want is for you to replace my filter. I will deal with everything else. It's okay. And they're like, okay, we got to bring the filter in. And I'm like, okay, so there's another 30-minute drive to take the filter back. They switched me one, brought it home. It was good. All was well, except for the surge protector and the air pump and the wallpaper. I mean, everything was just bad. It was just all wonderful, you know, but whatever. I ate it. And I just happened to have extras, so it was fine. I dealt with it. I was just so over it at that point that I didn't care. So I was more concerned about that filter. So all that was good, all was well, and everything was good. So that's kind of what's been happening lately. Also this morning I was doing a water change on the tanks, and guess what I found in their tank? In Knight's tank there was eggs, and there was a lot of them. So it looked like Lucy had had her babies, which I was shocked because, I mean, I knew that she was a little bit fatter, but I really wasn't expecting her to release eggs this late in the season, but she did. So there was a ton, like there was over 500 eggs. And you can see those on my Instagram at Cheyenne Goldfish. I put a nice video up there for y'all. But I had to clean those up. And when I show you in just a moment, you'll be able to see some of the eggs, because even though I cleaned it, I couldn't get it all out. And they're still eating them, so I did what I could do. But now I'm going to show you all the tanks. So here is the tank that is behind me. This is Josephine and Malachi's tank, and it actually got redone, thank the Lord, because I hated this tank. My Mopani wood finally sunk, and finally stopped releasing tannins, so it got in. I got rid of that ugly blue rock, and it's finally the way that I wanted it. So there you see Josephine in the back. She actually surprised me lately. She is turning white, which is interesting. Johnny, my very first goldfish, he did the same thing when he was a couple years old, and he lived to be 14. So she kind of reminds me of Johnny right now. And then the Blackmore you saw earlier, that was Damon. That's my mom's favorite at the moment. The fish below her is one of the rescues that I got on my birthday this year. Her brother is now happily in a pond. He is at my friend's dad's house, so he is being well taken care of. He's doing great. This one here I haven't named yet. I'm still working on it. I'm checking out her personality and stuff, and I haven't really decided yet, but she's looking good. She's super happy in here. Malachi and Josephine both have had no problems with the new tank mates. They've done great, which is exactly what I thought they would do. They're super laid back, so that's kind of why I decided to put them in here. So everybody's doing great here. So here is Sakara and Dodge's new tank. This is where Knight and Comet were in the last video. This was their temporary home until the new tank was up and running. So Sakara and Dodge is now in here. They're both doing great. I don't know when the last time you guys saw them was, but they have grown a lot. They're doing fantastic. Lately they've actually been in a little bit of a breeding mood, which is interesting. It seems like all my fish want to breed at the end of the season. So, eventually, I would like to get another East Coast Ranchu in here. Both of these guys came from East Coast Ranchu, and I'd really like to get another Aranda from her and put in here as well. The decorations are not set in stone. It's not really the way I want it, but it was the stuff that I had left over, so I just went with what I had. So these guys are doing good. I'd really like to get them another tank mate, but I've got to wait until the funds allow me to do that. The 120 gallon tank hurt my bank account, so I've got to wait a little while, but that's alright. I do enjoy having them at eye level so that I can actually see them now. That was kind of the problem with the 40 breeder, is they were on the lower rack and I just could never see them, and that's not fun because these two are absolutely beautiful. And at night this tank looks amazing, and I just love to sit in bed and watch these guys. They've done so good. So here are the troublemakers. Knight is up there in the top left. You can see him now. He's in the middle, but he has done so good in here. Like, I really think he's so much happier in a big tank. And Comet is there beside of him right now. Lucy is there at the bottom. Lucy used to be with Josephine and Malachi, but I didn't want just 2 fish in this tank, you know? It's a big tank. I need more fish, and as y'all know, he is just a butthead. He doesn't get along with anybody, hardly ever, but I wanted to try Lucy because he kind of grew up with her and he never really pushed her around. So I was kind of hoping that they would get along, and surprise, they did, or at least so far they have. So he could change his mind any minute, but right now they're getting along and I'm gonna keep it that way. So there at the bottom, if you look, you'll see Lucy's eggs, some that are left. They've been munching on them, and I did my best to get out what I could with the water change, but they are stuck on the bottom there. As for those of you that want to know if I'm keeping them, the answer is no. They're definitely Lucy's, so they're going to be some short-tailed Ryukins. I don't know if Night or Comet is the dad, and some of them aren't even fertilized, so I'm not looking to breed them really, so I don't have the time or the space to do so, so I'm letting it go, which is fine. I wasn't looking to breed anyway, but she did surprise me, so that was an interesting thing to wake up to this morning. Another thing about this tank that y'all probably are noticing is I went bare bottom, and it was supposed to be the easy thing, and it's supposed to be easier to clean, and I hate it. I was gonna give it a try because, first of all, it didn't cost me anything, so I was like, I'll give it a shot before I purchase gravel, and I've gave it a shot and I hate it. So it's just a pain in the butt. I do not like the way it looks, and eventually when my bank account gets over this little hump, I'm going to put gravel back in it because it's not the way that I want it. So that's pretty much what's been happening in the fish room. Everything is a mess. The only tanks that haven't changed is the butterfly tank and both the beta tanks. They're completely the same. So nothing's happened with those, but everything else has been just a hot mess. So in case y'all wonder what I've been doing this month, I've been going crazy. So if the 125 wasn't enough headache for me, it was just, no, I'm not doing that again. Nope. And for those that wanted to know, it was an Aqueon tank that leaked. This tank is actually PetSmart's brand. It's top fin. So, and it is heavy. Like, I thought the 6-foot tank was heavy because me and my dad almost did not get it in here, and we're pretty big people. So, like, I'm 6 foot, my dad's 6'4", and it took us forever to get that thing in here. It was heavy. This one is twice as heavy, and it's 5 gallons short of the other one. It makes no sense, but it was heavy duty. That thing is definitely heavy duty. So far no trouble. Hopefully there will not be any trouble because I cannot deal with it. But lots of things in the fish room, lots of fun things to come. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and also comment below what was your favorite thing that you saw today. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't already, and I'll see y'all next time.